It's tough. It definitely impacts morale. Lots of work, lots of resources, only to see those gang members back out of custody in a matter of days.
Carney has concluded his trip to the UK. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today, we find out who he met with. Spoiler alert, it's a massive conflict of interest. We've also got the police in Canada. Report has just come out that they are demoralized, depressed. They're scared to go to work because the crime is so bad. Got some other stuff here. Let's jump into this. While we're talking about Mark Carney's trip, this one actually from the UN. As Concerned Canadian points out, when was Carney's wife approved to be a speaker on behalf of Canada at the UN? Was this another undisclosed contract to the USA firm she works for? As in the Eurasia Group, was she getting paid for this? This is a great question. We need to know the answer to this. Got this one from Table Salt, says absolutely massive Stats Canada release. This is the smoke and gun. The share of temporary non-resident workers in the food industry in Canada has surged from 7% in 2017 to over 25% in 2023. They're taking our kids' jobs and these programs now. This is what Canadians are seeing every single day. We see here 7% in 2017 for full-time restaurants, 18% now. Limited service eating places, 7.3% to 25%, and food services from 6.9 up to 20%. Canadians need to come first in Canada, for once. The question is, why won't the Liberals end this madness? Because their big donors benefit from this. They're all taking advantage of these systems. It all comes down to money. Moving over to the UK, Mark Carney gave a speech, took some questions. Mackenzie Gray from Global News asked him a question here. You got Pierre reposting this, little tongue-in-cheek here. He says, listen to this. It's not that he just got no results on his last trip. He can't even remember who he met. So Mark Carney, as I'm going to show you here, goes on a rambling, fumbling, bumbling mess of a answer to a question because he doesn't want to say who he met in the UK. Mackenzie Gray asked him this. He doesn't want to say who. But then Mackenzie Gray got a follow up later on. He got 3 names of companies and people he met with. Check it out.
You've mentioned both in New York and London, and in recent days you've been meeting with lots of business leaders and CEOs. For the most part, we don't know who those people are. Can you tell us who those people are? And will you commit that your office share who you meet with at a business level like this?
Yeah, I think we share broad. It's a good question. Actually don't know what we share, to be honest. I mean, how's that for an honest answer?
Wow. He doesn't want to answer this question. You notice at the very start of it, you could see his eyes darting back and forth, back and forth. He's terrified to answer this question.
Tell us who those people are. And will you commit that your office share who you meet with at a business level like this?
Yeah, I think we share broad. It's a good question. Actually don't know what we share, to be honest. I mean, how's that for an honest answer?
Can you tell us a few of the people you've met?
We met today with a number of infrastructure type investors. And
he doesn't want to answer this question. I'm going to show you why in a second here.
And so people who have global capital invest around the world, largely in infrastructure projects. And the sense that what I was looking for was partly obviously to tell the story of what we're doing in Canada, major projects, improving the tax system, moving forward fiscal responsibility, but also to hear from them perceptions of Canada, where they're investing elsewhere, what's driving their investment, what are the major themes, so that we're setting up the right partnerships for the country. I'll review our policy. I don't know what our disclosure policy is, so thank you for that question. And I don't know if we have to check. There's no. Let me be absolutely clear, though, just for the avoidance of doubt. The discussions I had in New York and here are discussions about the overall investment climate, not specific transactions or investment deals. How is Canada perceived? What are the global trends? What we're doing, how that would be perceived.
So this is a fumbling, bumbling mess. And why is that? I'll let Mackenzie Gray tell you himself.
The PMO did release names from one of the meetings that happened on Saturday. Carney was with executives from BlackRock, the Qatari Investment Fund, and Mark Wiseman, one of the co-chairs of the Century Initiative. All the kinds of names Carney's trying to attract to invest in Canada. But the issue for Carney going forward could politically be his own ethics issues. He has over 100 companies that he can't be involved in discussion with because of his own personal investment and past ties. So if Carney does break that screen, expect the Conservatives will try and make major hay out of that, trying to paint the Prime Minister as just like Justin Trudeau, who had 2 high-profile ethics violations.
The irony of this is Mark Carney has already violated this twice in this one sentence he just said. Once again, here we go, back over to the chart. So he mentioned Mark Wiseman. Let's do that one first. Who's Mark Wiseman? Century Initiative. Their goal was to get Canada to 100 million people by 2100. This is why Trudeau jacked the immigration, and it's destroying our country right now. We see this on iPolitics. Carney adds Century Initiative co-founder to Canada-US Council. Century Initiative, co-founded by Mark Wiseman, calls for a massive increase in Canada's immigration levels, the ultimate goal, bringing Canada's population to 100 million by the end of the century. I was just looking for this on the PMO's website, this one here, and I swear Mark Wiseman's name was on here somewhere. I'm looking through the Wayback Machine. So I got it here. It was on like a news update page here. You can see March 19th, 2025, and you can see Mark Wiseman right there. I knew he was going to play into Carney's plans here at some point. I guess that's now. So the second one he mentioned there was BlackRock. Well, Mark Carney is invested in BlackRock, so this is already a blatant conflict of interest. Right here, BlackRock Funding Inc. buys everything. I put that in there. Carney's invested in BlackRock. Why is he meeting with him? This is a conflict of interest. It's already a breach. And he also met with the Qatari Investment Authority. I have an entire section here. I've upgraded the Moose chart here. This still needs to be updated on my public side. This is my private end. But in the Middle Eastern section here, we're just going to go through this a little bit. All these ones with the little Qatari flag here are the ones at Brookfield, which are the light yellow ones. These are all Brookfield, either investments or companies, are invested with the Qatari Investment Authority. The Qatari Investment Authority is a sovereign wealth fund that roughly has about $15 billion invested with Brookfield. So why is Mark Carney over there? He's checking in on his investments, on Brookfield's investments. This is a rampant conflict of interest. So we've got this one here. I've mentioned it multiple times. Brookfield plus QAI, Qatari Investment Authority, 666 Fifth Avenue. This is the Kushner family bailout property. Got this one here, Brookfield Property Partners plus QIA, Manhattan West Project. In 2015, the QIA acquired 44% of Brookfield Property Partners Manhattan West, which was an $8.6 billion deal. We've got Brookfield Property Partners plus Songbird Estates PLC, Canary Wharf Group. This is luxury real estate in London. This one here, you can see they worked together, partnering to acquire 100% of London's Canary Wharf, £2.6 billion, about 3.9 billion USD or 4.8 billion CAD deal, acquiring this property. We also have QIA buying preferred equity securities, $1.8 billion worth from Brookfield. And that's not all of Brookfield's investments in Qatar and the Middle East. They've got more private equity. They've got this Abu Dhabi oil company, the Catalytic Transition Fund. There's a lot of ties here, not to mention the Trump organization. Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr. have been doing a bunch of deals here. We'll get into that in another video, but there's a lot of money, billions of dollars flowing. Mark Carney went over to check on Brookfield's investments. Once again, a rampant multi-billion dollar conflict of interest, $15 billion to be exact. $15 billion he's checking in on. And Mackenzie Gray saying that the Conservatives are going to be going after them, checking into things. It's like, no, it's right there in your own outro. You said it. The key question is, those are the ones he admitted to. But who did he meet with that he didn't admit to? He most likely met with somebody else. Those are the only ones he wanted to tell us about. Or is it just he doesn't care? He's doing his green grift. He's putting it out in the open and doesn't care. He's just going to smear it in our faces knowing that there's no way for us to get rid of this guy as prime minister. If we jump over to the other side of the board here, there's one more investment that Qatar and Brookfield are invested in together. And that's this one here. As you can see with the logo, this is the Hidrosogosoama Dam on the Sogamosa River in Colombia. So I've got a whole video on this one right down here if you want to watch this. Brookfield's atrocious environmental record is exposed in this one, but they recently just added the Qatar Investment Authority in 2025 this year, another $500 million to increase its equity interest in this project to 15%. So it's another deal for Brookfield and the Qatari Investment Authority. I've also mentioned a while ago that Brookfield did this deal here in Abu Dhabi. I wonder if Mark Carney really will do any LNG deals, or is he helping the Middle East keep LNG as their cash cow? Because Brookfield has their money here, they have their money in Brazil, they have their money in America. How much competition do they really want? Well, I've been picking on Carney this episode. Why don't I pick on another Liberal, one from the East Coast? Next up, I got a story here about the former Premier for Newfoundland and Labrador, Andrew Furey. He stepped down at the end of February 2025, to which then John Hogan took over. There's something I want to show you here. So what we have here is an environmental assessment bulletin. This is coming from Newfoundland, Labrador, Canada, press releases here. And we can see this here, February 21st, 2025. And before I dig into this, let's just take a look at Andrew Furey's Wikipedia page here. You can see on February 25th, 4 days later, 2025, Andrew Furey announced his intention to resign as Premier, leader of the Liberal Party. As soon as his successor is chosen, his successor was John Hogan. 4 days later, he resigns after this. And you can see here, this is coming from his government. And what is this in relation to the Gander area Queensway North Mineral Exploration? Proponent, newfound Gold Corporation. Newfound Gold is the name of the company. This is a gold mining company that goes and finds gold. Project has been released from environmental assessment subject to conditions as outlined in the minister's decision letter available on the Department of Environment and Climate Seaward website. So Andrew Furey's government releases this company's environmental assessment, essentially allowing this mining company to go forward and look for gold. And as I already showed you, what happens 4 days later after he releases this company's environmental assessment so they can go mine for gold, he steps down. You're like, okay, well, what's the point? So what? If we fast forward to September, just a week and a half ago, what's he doing now? He said he's going to go back to practice as a physician. He's a surgeon. That's not what he did. Right on Newfound Gold's website here, Newfound Gold announces Dr. Andrew Furey, former Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, joining board of directors. Strengthens management team with the appointment of new CFO, COO. This is not a conflict of interest, not at all. So you see here, Dr. Andrew Furey has been appointed independent director of the board effective immediately. Independent director. They had their environmental assessment lifted by him, and then he joins the board of directors. This is ridiculous. And while I think we should have companies going and mining gold and mining lithium, mining everything else, we can't have liberal corruption profiting off the back end of this. Next up, we've got quite the string of events here. Gary Anasandri has been getting destroyed for a full week now. And here we've got Andrew Lawton talking to police officers here who are absolutely demoralized. Their mental health has been shattered because the Liberals are essentially making all of their work worthless.
I've heard anecdotally, but I was hoping you could shed some light on it, one of you, from officers, that there's a temptation to not expose yourself to that risk when you know that they're going to be out on bail and it will all be for nothing. So how does that affect morale of officers when they're seeing these people that they know on a first name basis on the street, regardless of having been arrested for a very serious offense?
Yeah, I can say it impacts morale greatly. Our members in Toronto are doing their part, and they literally are risking their lives. We've seen a few years ago, we had 8 police officers, I think I'm right, Tom, killed in the line of duty in Canada. They're risking their lives to make these arrests. I'm proud of them because they still go out there every day and do their job because they care about their communities. They care about victims, but it's tough. It definitely impacts morale when you do say our gang unit does a complicated investigation, takes a long time, lots of work, lots of resources, only to see those gang members back out of custody in a matter of days.
We have some emerging research in Canada recently.
The guy was saying we have some emerging research out of the government of Canada recently. It was hard to hear.
And Quebec's sort of leading the way where it's more troubling than that. It's not only demoralizing, but we're creating an environment where police officers are disengaging. They're not taking those risks. They're not being proactive and intervening when they could be because of the futility of it. It's creating a lot of challenges in our sector from a wellness, mental health, moral injury perspective.
That's crazy. So our police officers don't want to police because it's too dangerous. And can you blame them? Not only that, they're demoralized because the Liberals allow the criminals to just get back out. What's the point? Maybe the police officers should be arresting the Liberals for destroying our country. This is good, except if citizens then themselves begin enforcing the law and order, then the police will suddenly re-engage and start arresting those citizens. That's the problem we have here. We have two-tier policing, especially if you're in Montreal or Ottawa or Toronto. Had a guy outside my restaurant who was trying to break in the door with a shovel. Cops came and asked him to move. He comes back later, is now swinging the shovel at customers. Cops ask him to move along. They said they won't arrest him because he won't be held. What do you do with that? Someone's got to swing a shovel at him? If a Canadian takes care of this situation themselves, then they go to jail. Crime pays in Canada. It really does. It's the greatest country on earth if you want to be a criminal. Can you actually blame them? I'd feel hopeless as well in that position. In a just world, we'd have Batman by now. And with that, here's an example from a couple weeks ago of a home invasion that cops have to deal with on a daily basis. You got 3 gangsters here. Covering up the camera. So they hear them break in and start freaking out here. This guy's got a pew-pew. So they quickly dash out of there. I believe I saw some more details on this somewhere, that they pulled a bat or something and they're already making a whole bunch of noise and these guys decided it wasn't worth it. I suppose Mark Carney's house is well protected against such things, so why should he care? Yeah, he's got 24/7 security. In this case, personally, when I had goons at my house, you have a couple options. If you start yelling and screaming like that, then they know where you are, but it also could deter them. Or you can go the opposite route where you hide and then you surprise them and hopefully you can send them into the next realm before they even realize what hit them. Either way, it's not a good option. You don't want to have to pick either of these options. Especially in Canada, then it would be considered excessive force. I wonder, because this guy had a pew-pew. If you're hiding behind the front door with a baseball bat and then you treated his noggin like it was t-ball, would that be considered excessive force? Is bat more than pew-pew? Or how does it work? In Canada, do we have to bring out a piece of paper and write it all down and draw it out in a diagram and figure it all out before trying to save your own life? Next up, we got one here, man hunted down and ended in the streets of Richmond Hill, Ontario. I can't play this video, but you can see this guy here. He's running away from someone with a pew-pew. The guy with a pew-pew then ends him on the street in the middle of the day. This is Canada now. We got this one at Kingsway Mall, an ATM heist in Edmonton, Alberta.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Criminals. Those criminals.
This is something. Sweep the leg, Johnny.
CHM 7407. Yeah.
We have ATMs being stolen from malls. We had the one where they had backhoe ripped a ATM right out of a bank. People being ended in the streets. And we have stuff like this notorious BC who abducted 3-year-old boy released again. Is this what Liberals want? Is this what Liberals want for Canada?